Hello guys, Mr. Mxyzptlk here, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to guide you through a preview of what's to come in regards to superhero movies this year. I will give my thoughts on each movie, as well as giving you my expectations on them. Before we start, I want to highlight a few honorable mentions. One of this is Teen Titans Go to the Movies, whose first trailer dropped recently. The second and last honorable mention is The Incredibles 2, which comes out on June 15th. Before you get all angry, let me explain why this won't get its own section. This year is packed, and I mean packed, and so I decided to only cover Marvel and DC movies with the exception of Teen Titans Go, as I don't have much to say about that. So that's why The Incredibles 2 are out of this list. Also out of this list is Josh Boone's New Mutants, which was supposed to hit theaters on April 13th of this year and has now been delayed almost over a year and is now dropping on February 22nd of 2019. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's start our list growing chronologically. So the first superhero film this year is Black Panther. This is Marvel Studios' first movie in 2018, and it will drop on February 16th. It is directed by Ryan Coogler, the director of the highly successful Creed, and stars Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, among others. Man, let's address this. The trailers for this movie just look awesome. It looks really good. So, Black Panther had a great introduction in Civil War. His character was well established in that movie and his motivations were set there. So there's a few work that has already been done previously and previous to the solo movie. So this movie is also a huge gamble like Wonder Woman was because it has a almost all black cast. This could go either way really, but I'm inclined to think that this movie will be hugely successful following the success of DC's Wonder Woman, and Marvel is counting on that too. So in conclusion, I see no wrong in starting the year with this movie, which is looking really good, and let's hope that this could be Marvel's Wonder Woman. Next on the list is Avengers Infinity War. Oh man. This movie comes out on May 14th, and the only concern we might have is that we wish it would come sooner. It is directed by the Russo brothers. I should stop right there. They directed The Winter Soldier, Civil War, both hugely acclaimed Marvel Studios movies. This movie has a huge cast. Like, if you're an actor and if you've been on a Marvel movie, chances are you will be in Avengers Infinity War. With like 60 superheroes to share screen time. I don't know how they're going to do this, but I hope they pull it off, and I have all the high hopes. It's the culmination of 3 phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Also, Avengers 4 will be a part of this culmination, but this will be the start of that end. Also, Guardians meet the Avengers. What more do I need to say to sell you on this? But it gets even better. Thanos is coming. Finally, after firstly getting glimpses of Thanos in the post-credit scene for Avengers, and after seeing him in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, we will finally get the payoff for Thanos. Going a little back about the Guardians meeting the Avengers, it's also a great moment. It will be a great moment, definitely, like many years in the making. It will be a moment for true fans that have been waiting and have been supporting the MCU for all these years. With all this said, let me ask you, is this the most anticipated movie of the year? Can any movie top the anticipation that Avengers Infinity War has? I'm not talking about quality, I'm talking about the anticipation among fans for a specific movie, I think it gives no chance to any other movie on this list. After Avengers Infinity War comes Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2 has a new release date. It was previously coming out on June 1st and now it's coming out on May 18th. Only 1 week after Avengers Infinity War and only 1 week before the Solo, a Star Wars story movie. I don't know how they're gonna do that. Really, I don't know if audiences are gonna show up to all these movies. So, for Deadpool, what can we say about Deadpool? Well, 2 words. Ryan Reynolds. Yes, Ryan Reynolds proved to be an incredible Deadpool on the first movie. He feels like he was born to play the character. This film, however, has a new director. Tim Miller has been replaced by David Leitch after Tim Miller left due to creative differences. But I just want to ask you something. Can it top the first one? I don't know, it has now Cable, the highly acclaimed Cable, so I think there are a few chances that it can in fact top the second. I think we're gonna be in for a great treat. From Deadpool 2, we jump to AntMan and the Wasp. This movie is dropping on July 6th. It's now directed by Peyton Reed. He directed the first one, but he took over Edgar Wright. And so I have another question for you. Do you think this movie can work now that Edgar Wright is gone and has no touch in this movie? Well, this movie of course stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and the legendary Catwoman actress Mxyzptlk. Another question. Do you think this movie is a good follow-up to Avengers Infinity War? Marvel has a extremely... I'm surprised that they didn't end the year with Avengers Infinity War and are going out with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Sincerely, like, not to neglect the success of the first Ant-Man, but you can't compare Ant-Man to Avengers Infinity War. And so I'm not sure how well it will make and how good of a follow-up to Avengers Infinity War it will be. But I'm not worried. I just thought it would be good to point that out. Also, this is the first female-led Marvel superhero movie, even though it's a co-lead and that superheroine shares the title. I'm of course talking about the Wasp, played by Evangeline Lilly, but curiously, she will share the title, but we will get Wasp double dose, with Mxyzptlk reprising her role as the Wasp as well, the older Wasp. So, after Ant-Man, we go to Venom. This movie has a bit of a question mark all over it. It could go either way. It is coming out on October 5th, and it stars Tom Hardy. Now, with that, you can't go wrong. And I think Tom Hardy, as Venom, as Eddie Brock, is a spot-on choice. However, this movie is said to not be connected to the MCU and not to Spider-Man as well. I don't know how they are going to make that possible, because Venom is like you had a Joker without a Batman. It's inconceivable. I think, and now this is not a confirmation or of any sort, it's just my opinion, I think they are just kind of trolling us. Okay, and I think we will see at least a mention to Spider-Man in the Venom movie. So my question is, can it work? Without Spider-Man and without the MCU, this will be Sony's first tap into the Marvel universe without Marvel's help after the fallout of the Amazing Spider-Man series. Let's not forget that Sony's Spider-Man was helped immensely by Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios. So yeah, I think this movie will be fine. I have all the high hopes for it, but I would keep my expectations low, at least until we get a first trailer, so that we get a sense of the movie and what it's all about. But I would keep my expectations low, so that I don't get surprised in the end. Next on the list is X-Men Dark Phoenix. This movie is coming out on November 2nd. We're approaching the end of the year. It is the first Simon Kinberg directed X-Men movie. So let's not forget that in the previous movies he was only a producer, and that only has a big meaning to it, because a producer isn't just a side character on the movie production, but however it's an upgrade being brought on as a director. So we should see some changes, although I don't think there will be a lot of changes because he was already involved in the previous movies. And of course, the cast is the same. But this might be the last X-Men movie under Fox before the Fox company goes to Disney. So I think you should go to see it for that alone. It is the end of an era, the end of the X-Men outside of the MCU, and so I think it's worth going check out. And the second to last movie is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. So this movie, it is coming out December 21st. It's sharing the release date with the last movie that we're gonna talk about. The next one, I think you all know what it is, but it's the last. So, what can I say? 2 words: Miles Morales. Fans of this character are wanting him to be introduced in any form of movie property for a long time. Also, this movie deals with the Spiderverse, a hugely successful Marvel run on the comics that fans have been clamoring also for interpretations outside of the medium it was created, which was the comics. Also, is this attempt of animation for adults going to work? Because in Asian countries it is very common with anime and such, which is there are branches of anime that are more direction to adults, and it's hugely successful there. But here it is more difficult. There aren't as many animations for adults. It's seen as a child's thing, if you want to call it that. So it has a great test in front of it, this movie, to connect with the younger audiences, obviously, but also to connect to older audiences, which it is clearly trying to do, as we saw with the first trailer. Also, this is the true test to Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I would say this is the ultimate test to their careers. After the fallout that was Solo, a Star Wars story, and after they were infamously fired when they were almost handing the principal photography of the movie, they now have this opportunity to prove to Disney and to Lucasfilm that they were wrong, and to prove to Kathleen Kennedy that they are good directors. So we will have to wait and see for this. Bottom line is, we are getting a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie. It's animated, of course, but it can be a career-defining movie for Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Finally, we jump to the last superhero movie of the year, which is Aquaman. This movie, like I've said before, is coming out also December 21st, and is the only DC movie that is coming out in 2018. When Star Wars The Force Awakens came out, I saw people saying that in JJ we trust, and now let me say it, in James Wan we trust. Yes, James Wan has proven time and time again that he can deliver great movies. After the Conjuring movies turned out really successful, The Fast and the Furious 7 turned out hugely successful, grossing over $1 billion worldwide, and James Wan had to handle, which he handled really well, the tragic death of Paul Walker amidst shooting. Also, James Wan has a really good relationship with Walter Hamada, which has just been appointed president of DC Films, so I think his movie will be safe from the editing room, as it has been infamously now reported. It has a great cast: Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Amber Heard as Mera, Willem Dafoe as Volko, Nicole Kidman as Arthur Curry's Atlantean mother, Patrick Wilson as Orm, Dolph Lundgren, the legendary Dolph Lundgren, as King Neros, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as the infamous arch-nemesis Black Panther. But one question, can DC deliver after Justice League? They have to earn back the trust they lost with the last film, and I think by giving audiences over a year between these two DC films will give them time to settle the dust and decide whether they are worth giving a try or not. I think that this movie can be huge, and let me tell you why. There hasn't been any controversy around this film. There's not around what James Wan wants, what James Wan is getting, no, nothing. And do you know what was the last time this happened to a DC film? It wasn't with Suicide Squad, no, that was hugely controversial. It wasn't with Justice League, no, of course, it's now infamous. It wasn't with Batman v Superman, certainly. Yes, it was with Wonder Woman, and look how that turned out. Wonder Woman turned out great, and if Aquaman can be a fraction of what Wonder Woman was, then it will be enough to steer the DCEU into the right direction. So I have every hope for Aquaman to deliver, and I think it will, because in James Wan we trust. And there you guys have it. Thank you for going over with me the superhero movies that we will be seeing during this year. I sense great movies coming, and I'm looking forward to watching every single one this year. But most importantly, what do you think? Are you as hyped as I am for all these movies, or are you still not convinced by a few? That's what I want to hear in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and share it with all your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of my videos, and while you're at it, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Real5Dimension, or simply by clicking the links in the description. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel, and if you haven't, join me breaking down the future of DC films after the hiring of Walter Hamada as president right here. I hope you have a great day. Mr. Mxyzptlk, out!